Hello and very welcome here to our little attempt at clearing our post-Le Mans Blues with a 1954 mod, sort of work in progress update to the 55. We're in the Mercedes here, a 90-minute race around Circuit de la Sarthe. Oh, sorry, I mean the Grand Circuit, which is a combination I did a few years ago and enjoyed it. And then Jake did his little HRC series immediately after, so that was a good planning out here. Oh no, it's the King! Richard Petty on its side. It's not great. So yeah, we're doing alright here. We got a Cunningham in the lead, or whatever it's called here. A Cunningham in second. And then two Ferraris. And then me in the Mercedes. So that's good. Good place to be in. Hopefully we can deal with this all too well. But yeah, it's weird to think that like these buildings are still here. Like those buildings on our left, like right over on our right there, that's where the first chicane is. It's wild to think about that, and I think, I'm not 100% sure about the placement, but that could be the 100%. No, it wouldn't, because that's before the first chicane, so that isn't it. But yeah, it does sort of look like the rough shape of the 100% pneu building. That is on the Mulsanne, or the Ligne Droite d'Undaurier, which I can't pronounce in any way appropriately. But that is okay. But yeah, like racing has taken place here for over 100 years now, and that is wild. Okay, we're going to shift down a bit later. Safe RPM in this boat is 6,500. Our absolute rally move right there. For Hell Racing and Dale Pricing, or whatever the Germans have of their equivalent. For Rudolf Curricula. I can't pronounce his surname. Oh dear, don't touch grass. It's not right. Yeah, it's this awful part of like having a real Le Mans is it ends. And that's not nice at all. But at least I can now say that I am going to the next one. And I am very excited about that. It is going to be an all-out slugfest next year. And I've already made sure we're going to have lovely weather. None of that rain bullshit we had this year, so that'll be good. But yeah, the real race, how to sum it up, it's weird. It was a good race, if you exclude the safety cars. But yeah, I mean, really just exciting, the opening part of that race. Some really interesting strategy decisions where the drivers had to be involved. It was just a great dynamic race there. And so long without any major incidents as well. We didn't have like the early safety car. We didn't have full Courchelos or virtual safety cars, which leads into a safety car or a slow zone. It was just good racing for the first few hours. We did eventually get a couple of slow zones, but nothing major. Really exciting when the first rain hit, where people kind of panicked and went to wet a bit too soon. I thought that was really interesting to watch because you didn't know what the right choice was. Turned out the right choice was to stay out on softs, or on slicks really. But they couldn't have known that. Some people changed tyres, some people didn't. And that really sped up the early fight in the race, it has to be said, but that's okay too. That's racing. Racing can't all be banging doors and all of that. Sometimes racing means people make strategy decisions that separate the pack. And, you know, that's okay. And into the evening, we're like, weather still being there. It was just really interesting to watch. Then the first safety car came. The Kubica Dries which, yeah, that wasn't great, was it? That's one of those not needing to happen crashes. I'm not going to call it an accident, because as Hurtfus has told us all, saying it was an accident implies nobody was at fault. And in this case we know, because the steward did adjudicate a penalty to Robert Kubica for that one. And I'm sure they followed the guidelines that are put in place. But I would still have preferred to have seen like an exclusion for that. Just for the driver, not for the car. But definitely that's unacceptable. I'm not saying it was intentional. What I'm saying is you cannot afford to make a mistake in a high-speed part of the track, which that was. I'm aware it was dark, and that may have limited the visibility outwards, which makes it a bit different to the Earl Bambachon Galeo crash from Spa, but ultimately I would have liked to see that one as well be dealt with a race ban. Because you just cannot afford to make mistakes down straights the way those two drivers have. But yeah, ultimately, very happy nobody died or got hurt. Also very happy nobody got hurt in that monster Road to Le Mans crash that ended the first race. Jesus Christ. Looked like a bloody lorry crashed into the Onco. And that is like a really hard to hit piece of Armco as well. So yeah, that's just awful really. But man, what great work from the barrier repair crews. Holy shit. They fixed that lorry impact, as I said, in like less than an hour. That's good work. But anyway, yeah, like that first safety car, yeah, I can see why you called a safety car for that. I'm going to assume as well that there were work going on, as race control would have had like a list of housekeeping to do whenever the opportunity presented itself, and so they started doing that. So you're gonna go, fair enough. It felt like it went on a bit too long, it has to be said, and I'll get to that really at the end to like sum up all of that, because we got some more safety car chatter to talk about here. But yeah, after that safety car, man, what a race that was. That was super exciting to sit and watch, and there was no way. I mean, I did like go lie down for like an hour before or during that period, but I had Radio Le Mans on, so my eyes were closed, but no chance of me falling asleep. But I needed to listen into the race when the rain came, and it came again to make a decision about tyre. It was really interesting to see how Ferrari adapted to what had happened earlier, learned from that. I thought Ferrari just goes sports car racing really well. They've just not had a few things go their way this season, but at Le Mans they just showed that they are really sharp at this. And yeah, like in part with Nicholas Nielsen as well, who made the right call in staying out on the slicks there as long as he could. And then obviously the thing that we kind of like talking about, that second safety car at like, was it 4 in the morning? 20 past 4 I want to say. They killed the safety car for, I'm not sure it was straight up just rain that the cars would be aquaplaning off. Honestly, I think it was this much that the spray wasn't clearing on the Mulsanne and down into Indy. Which then it's just like a permanent fog, which again makes sense. Like if the marshal posts can't see each other, you can't have a motor race. It's just not safe. But when that came out, I put my alarm at like 6 in the morning, and I'm on Central European summertime expecting that to be an optimistic time to go back racing. I woke up, checked my phone, the live stream. So, yep, we're still under safety car. Went to bed, slept another hour, got up, and even then I thought that's too early. But, you know, it was daylight at that point, so gonna stay up. And sure enough, they were still under safety car, and it seemed that there were already at that point a bit of discord on that. But we went racing again. That was good. And then we had a car on its roof. And that brought out the safety car again. And I'm going to say straight up, fair enough. You have a car on its roof, on an apex. Not just any apex, the Indianapolis apex, which has that fast kick. Immediately before it, you're not coming through here, brother. Parlez-vous voiture, monsieur? Indeed, because he didn't send it up the inside. That's good. But yeah, that's fair enough. I'm going to assume race control at that point fully expected, needing to deploy the medical car and the extraction crew to get the driver out of that vehicle. And you're not really going to mess around with the driver's, you know, life. So yeah, absolutely fair enough. It's one of those situations where you are absolutely permitted to go to an immediate safety car and scramble everything you can to try and save that person's life, because it's still a human being in that car. So again, the barrier repair crews did a fantastic job getting that sorted out very quickly. I mean, everybody at that circuit just does things really well and professionally in terms of servicing the on-track part. But yeah, we're going to take the safety car conversation right here immediately. The procedures that were introduced last year, I wasn't a fan of them. I wasn't a fan of them before they were introduced. Wasn't a fan when we saw how long it took to carry out the procedure during the test day last year. I wasn't a fan of them trackside when we had to sit and effectively just watch a procession for like 20-30 minutes because everybody had to get gone round and drop back and do the Macarena. But yeah, this year it wasn't good enough. And thankfully everybody seems to be singing from the same tune. The safety cars just take too long now. I get that they want to try and minimise the impact that they have on the race, but that was unacceptable. At minimum, for my money, they need to look into starting the sort of pass around and the merging, or rather the merging first and then do the pass around, I suppose, procedure before the incident has been cleared. It just takes too long, particularly in the rain. There is zero reason why they could not have started the merging of that. Actually, there is, and it's important to remember this, and I just did. As soon as they start the merging procedure, it is assumed that the incident is cleared and we are about to resume racing. So the pit entry closes. So you cannot start that procedure before you know you're going green, because pit entry will be closed from that point on. You can only pit for emergency service. So had they started the whole wavy bye, mergy safety car-y bits, staying third, started that earlier at that long one, after like 2 hours, there would have been 2 whole hours where nobody could have pitted. Could have pitted for emergency service, and that would have been shit. So I think at a minimum that is what needs to be looked into here, because I don't think it's done what it was meant to do. It hasn't lessened the impact of a safety car upon the race when you have for upwards to half an hour of no incident, yet the safety car's still out. I may be a big traditionalist on this subject, but a safety car should only be out as long as it takes to clear an incident. Immediately upon the time at which it is clear, the safety car needs to pull off on the following lap. And that is a hill I'm prepared to die on. I don't even think we need safety cars to begin with, but if race control feel that we do, then so be it. Ultimately, in my opinion, that is down to them not being able to police their drivers effectively. Because it works at the Nürburgring with a narrower track, less visibility, and frankly, more varied driver skill. We're talking about a round of the World Endurance Championship. These are supposed to be the best drivers in their chosen field of racing, and yet still they're unable to behave appropriately under incidents and yellow flags and that not. That is not a driver problem, that is an officiating problem, in my opinion. I'm prepared for Eduardo to absolutely rebuke me, and Eduardo will be 100% correct in what Eduardo says to me. But again, it is an opinion, not a fact that I'm stating there. I would also, regarding the safety cars, hope that they review the point at which they're deployed for weather and when they're pulled in. Because if Johnny Molan was on Radio Le Mans and he said that at least 2 hours before it was pulled in, it would probably have been safe in his opinion. That is a former driver who says that. If a former driver makes such a statement, then I have no choice but to take that as near as... Oh, good lord, what's happening here? It's a 50 gang and the 65 gang. That was a big mess right there. Gee whiz. Problem here is they're going to be fast into Indy as well. Oh dear me. They are absolutely bump drafting, aren't they? Absolute chats. Or whatever the French for a chat is. Ah, it is Monsieur Chat. Chat Chateau from Giovanni. I am driving the Blue Gardini at the 80 du Grand Circuit. Oh, it's Dale! Yeah! Oh dear, he's blocking. Oh, he's blocked Dale. Don't believe it, poor Dale back there. But yeah, I hope they review that safety car whole thing, because that was unacceptable. What happened there was unacceptable. I don't think the new safety car procedures has worked in terms of reducing their impact upon the race, because obviously it took longer to clear up. So while it may have allowed, like, you know, class battles to not get interrupted, then like it had a bigger impact upon the race. But I mean, other than that though, it was a very exciting race. Like moving into the Sunday proper, from like when the third safety car came in to the end of the race was excellent. Like soon after that, I think it was, we found out about the 7 Toyota having a turbo problem that they were managing for the rest of the race. So who knows where they would have been in terms of speed. I thought that was very interesting. And yeah, I mean, overall it was just a very interesting race. Like everyone utmost in the top class of those I expect it to be up there were up there at various points of the race. Like Ferrari obviously just seemed to be the most consistent. Like everybody had pace at different points up there at the front. They just seemed to be more there, if that makes sense. Cadillac had like one car crash out of contention. I still think the 311 finished. And the other Caddy, which I forget the number, the yellow one, shat itself comprehensively to the point where they were pouring oil in at the top and it was running straight through and out on the floor below. So that had shat itself. And then the blue one ended up with floor damage. That's why it tailed up during the Sunday part. You could visibly hear it and see it. You couldn't visibly hear it, obviously, but you could hear it and see it. So that sort of explains that. Is this Dale? It's Dale! Do it for Dale! Race hell and place Dale! Or whatever the Italians do. Bye bye, Nino Vaccarella. Race hell, praise Nino. Doesn't work. But yeah, we had that. We had the Ferrari with like the massive hybrid failure. Holy crap! That absolutely also shat itself. Something fierce. The privateer Ferrari. And then, like, the kink at Indy seems to be what the first chicane was last year. Just treacherous and willing to catch anybody out who put a wheel like a millimetre off line there. Now, like, from what I saw with like the helicopter shots and all the overhead shots, the track was a lot more damp than it looked on like the onboards and the trackside cameras. As soon as we got those overhead helicopter shots, you could really see how patchy damp it was pretty much all over, which I think contributed a lot to the incidents that we saw coming down into that part of the track. But yeah, I don't recall if it was that one or the 4 Porsche. They just put like a wheel off here and then just crashed massively because there was, you know, paved runoff, and paved runoff only works if the cars are like gripping, but when they're not, it's lethal, like we saw with Alan Simonson back in 2013. But we're not supposed to talk about that. And how as soon as he went off and he touched a bit of the painted runoff, that's when his car snapped left and into the barrier that had the tree behind it, which is formally what ended his life. But yeah, here as well, like at the King at Indy, because they got it paved, like people could run off there, and like they just headbutted the wall, like especially like the Aston. It would have been the Aston, yeah, then kind of just went into that bit. And that's when that's not great. Like that just becomes an absolute liability at that point. And I don't think like paved runoff is any safer than having grass or gravel there. But again, that is personal opinion more than anything. It just invites drivers to push a bit too much and crash. But yeah. As a race in the top class though, it was really good. You had no idea who'd win. Porsche was probably disappointed again. Like they had pace, but not really towards the end. Like they faded a lot. Obviously the 99 with the door problems early on took that out of contention. Jota just wasn't ever really there. Honestly, they just didn't seem like they had the speed they had last year. I can't help but feel that some of that is down to the massive rebuild job they had to do with the 12. But yeah, the Penske cars seem fast, for sure. But obviously they are... we had a few Porsche factory driver moments in that race. I don't remember who it was that was driving, the one battling the E51 Ferrari towards the end of the race, but that was dirty. That was pure 100% Porsche factory driver right there. Just mirror driving, blocking, doing all the naughty things. But Pierre Guidi got by, made like quick work of that, as quick work as he could, and got on with the job. But yeah, they seem to have like the narrowest window where they performed well, and they're not going to be happy about that. And Cadillac, yeah, I mean, they had pace, just needed not to have that floor damage. But my God, Peugeot's got to be really disappointed because they were nowhere at any point in the race. Or at every point in the race were they nowhere, rather, I should say. Like BMW just crashed. So, yeah, that's what happened there. Then we have Alpine, which blew up both. Not great. And then we had Lamborghini, who kind of just got on with things. Got a few penalties. Had some driver comfort issues in the long safety car. But yeah, they got some data, which was all good. Like I think that's a sort of quite short on development program, so they're happy with that. And honestly, unsung heroes of this race is Sotta Fraschini. Yeah, they also got a few penalties, and I'm about to overshoot here. No, I'm not, because we do the rally move. Yeah. But yeah, like it's Sotta Fraschini, they just drove. Got a few penalties along the way for track limits and whatnot, but that's fine. It was every single driver's first time there, I believe. The only car as well in Hypercar to have an all-silver lineup. I think they did really well, and they will be very happy with finishing. Oh yeah, Toyota as well. They were there. Yeah, the 7 car with the aforementioned turbo problem kind of hampered its efforts. And 2 punctures, and Jose Maria Lopez was of course in that car, and to pretty much everyone's surprise, he only had 1 spin. Other than that, he did a very good job. He actually made it look like they had done the wrong thing of getting rid of him, which I know a few people wouldn't have thought. That's how it looked to me. It's like, okay, it's not the weapon that we've used to seeing. It's actually a good solid driver here at work, so that's obviously nice to see. As a race fan, I just want people to do well in a race, because then we have a motor race. But yeah, like the 2 punctures definitely hurt them, as did the turbo dramas for sure. But yeah, I mean, it sounds like from some of the reporting I've read that they are not as unhappy this year as they were after last year's race. Like this year, they kind of went, yeah, right, that was a much fairer fight than we had last year, and they won that legitimately. Although I still don't quite believe anything they say regarding that. Or again, my personal opinion is that last year their driver shouldn't have thrown it off when they were in second, going for the win, or trying to hunt down the leading Ferrari last year. If the driver hadn't done that, maybe they'd have a point, but like they threw it off. And also that same car, I forget which one it was, at the beginning of like the first safety car in the race last year, on lap 1, Sebastian Buemi was complaining on the radio about some sort of regen issue for the hybrid system. So last year again, if they had been nursing a problem throughout that race, and they were that close to winning when their driver threw it off, and you know, fair enough. You're a driver, if you've been told to go out there, go push. I think it was that driver's first Le Mans as well, with Toyota. You know, these things happen. Same thing with like the Jota car last year when that went off in the Porsche curves. You kind of just have to say, yeah, fair enough. You were in the lead, you were going hard for it. Or in Toyota's case, you were in second, you were going hard for it, you were chasing down the leader. And when you're pushing that hard, you are more prone to make mistakes. Like, legitimately, that's part of racing, you know. In order to make an omelette, you have to break a few eggs, right? There's also a Danish saying that where you do trade, you spill. If you know what I mean, like if you're a business who are selling things, you're bound to like spill things on the ground when you're measuring things up. It's unavoidable, mistakes happen like that. But yeah, this year it was just an all-round much better Toyota team, I felt. And it's not just at Le Mans, but the whole WEC season so far. They haven't been as averse to racing. Like last year we had team radio, I know they're kind of picked out, but they were very much going, oh my god, we are racing. And here, like, that Ferrari guy went up my inside. Guys, that's not fair. He put it on my inside where I want it to be. That's not right. Whereas this year they've kind of just gotten on with actually racing. So that's nice. And I can't fault Toyota last year for being that way, even though I found it funny. Because it's, I mean, what you're going to do when you've been used to being pretty much on your own in the top class for a good few years. Like the thing that really stuck out for me this year is how far the WEC has come. Was when the 7 got its lap times deleted in quali for crossing the red flag, and it got sent to 23rd position. Like, I'm used to being configured to thinking that, oh yeah, if you go to the back of the top class at Le Mans, you're going to like 6th or 8th. No, it's 23rd. That's like more than there are F1 cars. Which is, yeah, great. which again also case of what could have been for them, like, well, how close they were. Had they not had to make all that time up, or those positions up, and they struggled at the start of the race. Like, that 7 car wasn't going anywhere early on in that race. And wasn't that also the one that had the problems in warm-up, where like they just drove into the back of Kelvin van der Linde, who just for some reason decided that the racing line was the best place to slow down? As we are, oh, it's fine. I wasn't scared. But yeah, I think that was the same Toyota that had problems there. So yeah, I mean, they had a very troubled run, even from quali. So to get to where they were, they got to be happy, and it sounds like they are. I mean, they're not going to be happy. Well, they're talking that's a bullshit, and I know that. They won't be happy unless they win. But at least this year they can look and go, yeah, all right, they were just better than us. We just have to do better. Like, there's no pretenses here of like a bad BOP, because they got the 2-stage BOP this year that they've been wanting for a while, which was definitely intended to peg back Ferrari a fair bit, for them anyway. So, yeah, I don't really know what to say there. I mean, other than, yeah, they just need to do better, but yeah. And LMP2, if we move on to that, I mean, I'm going to cover LMP2 and GT3 in the same boat. Nobody would know who is going to win and what would happen in that class this year. Absolutely nobody. If you had picked those 2 cars to win, well done. But it could have been any one of them, really. It was a bit of a shame to see the 37 Cool racing car. Not least because Melder Jacobsen is in that, but more importantly, I think that car was really strong. And it had some dramas towards the end of the race, which really stopped it from being in any kind of contention. Oh boy. But yeah. It's just that class where you can do as many previews and as much, you know, like looking at the entry list and thinking who you think is going to do well. It's just going to be a fight. Like, an all-out fight, and it's just whoever has the least problems and does like the best. Like, yeah, I mean, as far as GT3 is concerned, I'm always going to be rooting for the Iron Dames, and so that was obviously disappointing to say the least, that they didn't get a result there. Not helped by getting Porsche factory drivered from the LMDH Porsche, but it is what it is. They go back in the race, and yeah, they're just. In the morning, I had a look on the awful timing. Can I just say, as an aside, the live timing offering was woeful. Awful. From like Thursday onwards, it wasn't auto-updating for me. I had to manually refresh the page. Which is, yeah, I'm going to be salty about that for a very long time, because I sent a cease and desist to Timing 71 a few years ago, which was excellent and a wonderful service. But the problems they had, even though there's like a new version that is basically a browser plugin, so it kind of just takes the data from their website and loads it in a separate window. It doesn't go through their own servers, so it's fine now. But even that wasn't working with it, but it was working at times. And when I could see average stint times, and I could just see that car not having it. Having like a few stints there in the morning where they were a few seconds behind the others running out the front. And that's kind of sort of when it seemed to me at least that they were going to be, oh dear, this is a terrible line, that they will be unlikely to be in a good position at the end of that race. And unfortunately that's where it was. But yeah, the GT3s looked slow. Like on TV, they looked slow. Slow on the main start-finish line up into Dunlop, slow down the Mulsanne, slow into Indy, slow in the Porsche curves. They just didn't look fast. And I have to say that is disappointing. But yeah, I mean, I was half expecting Ferrari to win again because they just seem to understand what it takes to win that race, and it makes sense from having like the drivers they do, who are all like AF course regulars back in the GT Pro days, which is also where AF course did a lot of their learning, was in that super tight, super competitive 3 to 4 way fight that was GTE Pro. I know there are a lot of people coming in from F1 or who know Ferrari from there, who know Ferrari but who wasn't paying attention to the GT classes back in the day. But anybody who was really wouldn't be surprised at seeing how well AF Course has done with the hypercars, because that's what they do. So yeah, but I don't think the race this year was as good as last year, purely on the safety car grounds, because they just took up too much time. I think we had the same number of safety cars last year. We had the first one for 40 minutes, I believe it was. Then we had 2 for rain, and again, they were kind of pushing it in terms of what they should have, but they weren't out there for too long. And the second half of last year went without a safety car, which I think did a lot to make that a very good race. Whereas this year it was far more broken up, and it just, yeah, it just lacked that little bit. But it'll be there next year because I'm going. I've already made sure we're going to have wonderful weather. Sunshine, nice and warm, all dry. It's going to be great. So yeah, I'm already very excited about next year, although annoyingly it's like nearly a year away. And that's the worst part about Le Mans, as I said at the start of this video. The worst part about Le Mans is the fact that one has ended and it's another year before we can have another one. I'm fully aware that it's like being a child and wishing Christmas was every week or every month. It wouldn't be as special, and you're correct, but why would I be rational? It is unquestionably the highlight of my year. It is the thing that I look forward to the most. I don't particularly care about my birthday. It's just a date for me. And Christmas is nice for like all the family stuff and all that, but all like these super hype things that happen at Christmas, you know, that you were when you were a kid, where it was like, oh, it's Christmas, the whole month is building for it, you know. I don't know if that's a thing elsewhere, but we got like Christmas advent calendars and TV, which is like just a children's TV show that they do like every day leading up to Christmas. It's like as a child there was so much building for Christmas, and you just had this sense that it was something really special, and that has gone out of the window as a grown-up, you know. Like, honestly, Christmas is nowhere near as exciting as a grown-up. I mean, I love the food, absolutely highlight of the year in terms of food. Love spending time with family and all that. That is excellent. But in terms of the number one thing I'm the most excited for, the one thing that I always plan around in the year, that's Le Mans. Like this past weekend and like the days before, what I'm thinking about there from Wednesday morning was Le Mans, and I just enjoy that so much. I get emotional at the start of the race, I get emotional at the end of the race, and yeah, I just, at least now I can just be in that mode where I'm looking forward to the next one, where I'm going, and we're already planning that. And it's going to be an extended, we're taking the scenic route basically down because of a couple of holidays that are falling right, which means that we can leave on like Wednesday the 5th. So we're going to take the scenic route, stop off on a few places on the way down, just have some good, you know, family time. Oh dear, this is not going to be good. Probably gone around the outside there, but didn't want to chance that. Misjudged it, I'll go into the fence. If I misjudge their speed, it'll end in a crash as well. But yeah, that's at least something. I'm also already, even while I was watching the race over the weekend, I was looking forward to watching it back over the winter, because I usually do that with Le Mans. And I will do the same this year. Because then you get to unpick it with the benefit of hindsight. When you watch it, you can go, oh yeah, but that's relevant to the thing that happens later, you know. And that's really nice. Yeah, I mean, oh god, we didn't even cover like the didn't even cover like the late morning into the afternoon and the finish part of that race, because the rain came back and tyre choice and all of that was up in the air, and like the 50 car with the door problem that had to be managed. I mean, Nicholas Nielsen has gotten a lot of credit, I've seen, in not just, I mean, the Danish media is going to be all over that, like, you know, everything really. Just, he did that solely, you know, like the other two drivers in that respect are kind of just there as filler, but he's the golden boy there. But he kind of was. He was in the car when it mattered in that overnight rain stint before the safety car. He was in the car towards the end of the race where the weather was coming and going again, and they were having the door dramas that he managed, and he kept cool. They made the extra pit stop. And even before that, where they had the close unsafe release, I said on Jake's Discord at the time, I could call that one either way. If I was the team manager there, I would 100% be saying, listen, yeah, he went a bit early, but, you know, he caught it. We got him stopped in the transit lane. The car in the fast lane, I believe the Cool Racing car, according to the stewards report, which I read, stated that the 37 did brake, but he didn't have to. So it wasn't that it braked to avoid the crash. Like, it didn't have to brake to avoid the crash. It still braked, but it didn't have to brake to avoid a collision, because the the Ferrari had stopped in the transit lane, and he joined in behind the Cool Racing car. Therefore, you know, it's basically just one of those things that happen in those circumstances, and I could have called it either way. And then obviously they still had to pit with the open door, which, yeah, in a way I'm surprised it took them as long to call that one as possible, or took them as long as to call that. But yeah, it is what it is. Also, another little side note to that, both the Ferraris wanted an investigation for technical infringement, which was, as I suspected, an overboost, or an over-torque rather. They have torque sensors on the drive shafts. They were, on both cars, had exceeded the limit that they were allowed to output, and they got a reprimand. And before anybody comes to criticise them, I will want you to know that earlier in the race, I believe it was like the 77 or the 88 Proton Mustang, was given first a reprimand and then I believe it was a 5-second stop and go for that exacted infringement. It only got the stop and go on the second offence, so the stewards were consistent in giving a reprimand for the first offence for the two Ferraris, as the two cars committed separate offences. It's not the same thing. They can't just give a drive-through for the second one. They just combined them there, I think, for the ease of it more than anything. And they still told the Ferrari to pit, the 50 Ferrari to pit for repairs for the door. And they gave the 51 a penalty for the contact with the 8. So, yeah, I mean, it just seems like things were being dealt with in a fair and unbiased manner. But I'm aware that there are some, certainly F1 refugees, who still see it as the Ferrari International Assistance Association with the FIA. But the evidence here does not indicate that was the case, as the Ferrari goes up my inside. The FIA help you, don't you know? Hey! Ericsson hit me! But yeah, where were we? Yeah, I mean, yeah, the two-stage BOP was supposed, in theory. It wasn't supposed to, the two-stage BOP process rather would, in the way that it was designed, restrict the Ferrari's performance more than it would the others. Let's put it that way. That is the less glamorous. Bro! And you did that right behind the king. Faux shame. Faux shame. But yeah, that BOP was definitely meant to hem in the Ferrari, who like last year allegedly had more pull at high speed from their hybrid. Whereas this year they didn't quite have that. So yeah. I mean, it was a very enjoyable race, and as far as I'm concerned, if I were to miss one in person, yeah, it's probably that one. The cold one, the rainy one. That's probably the one I'd want to miss. So, but it is what it is. That's rather annoying, isn't it? But yeah, I am, needless to say, really looking forward to going next year, because the advantage of having been before is you know everything, or you know things there. You know how long things take to go to certain places, you know how things are run, you know where things are. It's going to be a lot less stressful experience, and last year was very stressful for things outside of our control. The long and the short in that, we flew to Paris and were supposed to pick up a camper van at a rental agency down there, and they were supposed to arrange transport from the airport to the rental place. Oh no, they hadn't told the Uber driver who was due to pick us up which terminal we were landing at. So he had gone, I believe, to Terminal 1, and I think we were at like Terminal 3C, which, if you know Paris Charles de Gaulle, they're not near each other. The terminal we were at was like a peripheral one, like away from the other ones. So yeah, like after driving for like 25 minutes, the Uber driver was like, that's where I was waiting. And then we're like, oh yeah, that it does take a while to get from where you were to where we were, even after we found it out. So it took us like nearly like 2 hours there just to before he was there, and at that point tempers and stress levels were quite high, and then some incompetence from the rental agency didn't help either. So at that point we were quite stressed and quite, run down, and then I had to drive the camper van that I didn't know out to Paris at 5 in the afternoon. What I can say here is next year we're not going through Paris. That was my only condition, was I'm not driving through Paris that soon again. Maybe at some point in the future I will, but that point is not this year, it is not next year. Jesus fucking Christ. Oh dear, we've got a car outside. He backed out, or just behind us, but sounded like it was on our outside. Bro. Bloody sweet, I tell you. Oh, there we got a Cunningham. Let me get a drink as well. But yeah, I mean, this is my happy place. I found that out last year. It is so my happy place, this track. Like, I was interested to see this year how I would feel watching it from home. And I already knew before any track action started that I know I don't prefer being at home. Because last year I was sort of concerned that when you're trackside, you're just like watching and enjoying. but you aren't following the race. Like last year, I was told by Radio Le Mans that we were having a cracking race. I didn't know. I was just there going, there, these cars are loud, they're fast, they're cool. It's just great. People were great, cars were great, the race was great. What more can you want? But yeah, no, it's much nicer when you're actually there. Just while there's a fence between you and the track, so like you're not part of that, but the atmosphere there is just fantastic. And like again, like the people being there, just seeing things, and all of that is just, yeah, it's just great. Like, it's just such a wonderful place. And I loved Le Mans even before I went. And I went, like, for the first time I went was in 2007. And it was wet and miserable, and that was why I didn't go back until last year. Because I remember I watched the 22 edition of the race, the 2022 edition of the race, and I knew I had to go back. I watched it, and that was when I knew for sure. I'd had like that feeling where in like years before, where I watched it and I was like, yeah, it's cool, and you know, it'd be great to be there. But it was only watching the 2022 race. That's the right way of saying that, where I had that feeling of, oh no, I am going to be there next year. It's not just a case of it wants to be nice to be there. Oh no, I am going to be there next year. And yeah, it is. It's just special. And it's nice. It's the only place that I can go where I can completely shut out everything else in the world and just focus on that for like the time that you're there, which is super nice. Oh yeah, also like we're last year getting delayed at that point. Yeah, the trip to the track from the rental company is supposed to take like 2 hours without traffic according to Google. Like if I go on there now where it's 8:30 in the evening, it's supposed to take around 2 hours to get to the campsite. It took us 2 hours to get to a place that is 1 hour away, to a supermarket in Rambouillet. Oh, that's no gap. Oh, we got to Vaseline that up. Jesus Christ. That wasn't my best move, was it? But yeah, it was just gridlock traffic. We were stuck. Just for reference, in actual Paris, on like the city streets, we were stuck in traffic for like 20 minutes, 15-20 minutes, because a bin lorry was on its roof and it just stopped in front of properties that it was collecting bins from, and you couldn't go around because there was traffic coming the other way in like mid-afternoon Paris at like 5 in the afternoon in Paris. That's just something they do. I was flabbergasted when we finally got close enough to see what was causing the traffic, and I could see that there was a bin lorry with flashing yellow lights on, and like the blokes going in, getting bins and emptying them. I was like, the reason why we're stuck in traffic here is because the bin lorry's out. You just wouldn't say that here. Not like that. That would be a big no-no. But it is Paris, c'est la vie. The bins must be emptied. So we do. And then we got like just out on like the motorway, the early bit of the motorway. That was okay. Traffic was, there was traffic, but not too bad. And then we got off the motorway onto the Route Nationale out of that towards Rambouillet, and that was gridlock chaos. That was not pleasant. Right, brother, come on now. But yeah, it was to the point where when we got to the supermarket, I'm massively outbraking myself here, holy shit. I nailed it. Although that shift was shit. But yeah, when we got there, I just stayed in the camper van. Because I was worn out from that drive. Very stressful when you got motorbikes going up your left side and your right sides overtaking you. Even when you're in like the rightmost lane, you still got motorbikes going up your inside. Yeah. And like at least they had like some semblance of respect for a big vehicle like a camper van, because like they're like, yeah, that's a big vehicle, probably driven by somebody who's not used to driving those, so we're going to try and like just be a bit more sensible. I dread to think it was in like a VW Polo or something like that. That would have been chaos, carnage. Because if I was, it would have been on French plate as well, and they would have assumed I was French. At least with the camper van, it was on French plate, but it's also a camper van, or as the French call them, a camping car, which is a better term in any way. So yeah, I think I'd calculated that we would have been at the track at like 6 in the evening if we had kept to the schedule and we'd been picked up on time and all of that. We got to the track at 10 in the evening. Yeah, that's how late we were. So we were like massively set back at that point. And like that drive from Rambouillet to Le Mans, there's some intense emotions for me. Like before the race this year, I listened back to Radio Le Mans from last year. They got it on the Studio Vision, which meant you could listen back to like all their coverage on or not just Saturday, but on the Wednesday. And let me just say, the coverage from like post practice until like the start of that quali session was so emotional for me, because there were points where I vividly remember where we were when those bits came on, like the music for the Bob and what's that other Constanduras? I can't remember his name. Ben Constanduras, that's the one who did like Le Mans Stories with his dad. The music for that, vividly remember that. The bit they did about the Garage 56 NASCAR, vividly remember that. The music for the historic racing news show thing, vividly remember that. I also remember when we were driving on the road parallel to like the Dunlop Bridge and that, looking over in that soft evening light, seeing the Dunlop Bridge there and a helicopter flying overhead at the same time, and you could hear the PA from the track. Oh, that's, even now that gives me goosebumps, because then you knew you were there. You go off like the Route Nationale or whatever that was, and you get onto like the roads there, and you see like the tribunes in that soft evening light again, and you're there, and you get inside the track, and then you hear the cars go out, because it was right at the start of that session. I have a picture from the campsite at 22:05 of us being parked up there, and that was 5 minutes into that session. And like all of that intense emotion associated to that, all of those bits, that was surreal to watch that back. But yeah, I mean, if you get a chance to go, if you can afford it, absolutely go. For the love of the maker, it is incredible. Like, I went with my mum, my dad, and my brother. My mum and my dad had like watched it. Like, they're the reason why I'm into motorsport, because like, they put that on every summer, or every time it was run, because it was on one of the main broadcasters here. If like you're in the UK, imagine it was on ITV1. That's where Le Mans has been for like my entire lifetime, pretty much, probably even before John Nilsson won his race in 1990. It's been on there. So it's always been on when I was a kid. So it was real neat to bring them on, but my brother, I don't think, certainly hasn't shown an interest in it, but obviously wanted to go because it's, you know, it's a bit of a laugh, isn't it? It's Le Mans. It's an experience, and you know, seeing somebody experience why racing is great for their first time, or why I think it's great, you know, that's nice. That's neat. Oh dear, we're off. Oh, we put it into a bank there. Small bank, it's fine. But yeah, that is it's just great, and I'm so looking forward to going next year. I only hope that when it's time to leave next year, I will look back and go, I can't believe it's already been a year. Because that's how I felt this year before the race. I was like, it can't already have been a year. Like on the dates when we travelled, because we left on like the 7th last year, 7th of June, and I honestly couldn't believe that when it was the 7th of June that it had already been a year since we did all that. So I'm hoping it'll be, oh dear, hopefully it'll be the same next year. And we get to have a much longer build up, come into it refreshed and relaxed. So yeah, it'll be good, because like we missed all of Wednesday there last year, and that is not great to say the least. Yeah, this, oh dear, we're absolutely, oh yeah, that's me fucking it. I don't think it's too bad actually. I mean, we have massively over-revved it there, but that's okay. I mean, it's not great, but it's not terrible either. Like, it's tracking straight. Yeah, it's tracking straight, it's fine. They look like a Panzer. Shouldn't really be surprised, should it? But yeah, this place is just, it's just special. Like, those trees are there, like these buildings, they're all there. That when you come down here now, I hope to do the track or track cycle next year. But yeah, the buildings on our left here is immediately before the first chicane, which is over on our right hand side here. It's just, yeah, it's just wild and special. Because the nice thing about Le Mans, which I think separated a lot from other big motor races, is that it's more than just from the start to the finish. Like, I think with a lot of like Formula 1 races, people may only go for like the Saturday or the Sunday. Here, like with Le Mans, you're like there from Wednesday, so everything is building over those days to the race, and the atmosphere on race day is just unreal. Because the French do a sense of occasion really well. Like the ceremonial stuff, they have that nailed. It is special, really special. But yeah, like I can't say anything other than go. If you think that is something you'd enjoy, go. Oh, we're doing all right. I think we only got bodywork damage, so again, we're doing all right here. We got lucky. Could turn the headlights off. Probably saves us a few frames. I don't even remember if I talked about it in the video, but I last drove this car, other than yesterday, I last drove this car in the end of GP Laps's HRRC. Which ended in the sandbank at the Mulsanne corner, so let's not talk about that. But yeah, it would be nice to have like a proper historic version for these cars. That being said, it would be nice to have like every version of this track for Sims. The very first one where you go off into Pont-Lieu, into that hairpin and back out, would be wicked to experience that, like that, because it was dirt. There were gravel roads back then. Like Indianapolis on this track isn't called Indianapolis because it's like a bank left-hander. It's called Indianapolis because they paved it with bricks. It was one of the first part of the circuit that was paved, and it was paved with bricks, like they did at Indianapolis. The drivers christened it Indianapolis because it was, you know, bricks, left-hander. Kind of obvious. But yeah, like in period, the Dunlop here would have been much tighter, and the Dunlop bridge would have been much further down the hill. I do wonder what is down that road, because that is where the Bugatti circuit is now, and I have to admit, don't remember when that was built. But I feel like this part here would have been correct in period. We have the second Dunlop bridge here, and yet actually, for like your original circuit, it would have just, you've been coming down this road already for like a few kilometres. Like you'd have gone straight on at Dunlop. You've gone into the town and made a right-hander at a hairpin. It's still there, by the way. I think there's like a cafe or a restaurant on the inside of it now. And when you see it in Google Maps, if you look it up, it doesn't look like it's one of the most, or like a corner on one of the most iconic racetracks in the world. But yeah, this road here has been used in every race. And that's just wild to think about the history in place here. There's not many places you can say that. They're still just stuck together in a... That's like an MX-5 Cup race right there. I know this guy's gotten separated. Yeah, the second chicane is on our left right here now. And then in fairness, I'm not 100% sure of where it is today in this part here, but I believe like where this junction is today, there's a roundabout now, and then I think where that little road is there, that is where the real circuit is today. So it just kinks off there, goes down that bit so you don't run into the roundabout, and then you go down here, and again this bit is the same. Well, not the same, but you know, it's the same piece of road. It's been repaved and obviously widened and whatnot over the years. But yeah, this is the site of one of the CLK flips, and this has obviously been reprofiled a fair bit, particularly the runoff, in that there is now some runoff. And likewise here, runoff has been reprofiled, but you know, there's still a dirt road in there because there are like properties and whatnot off there. And the public road now dives off to our left here into like a new built roundabout. And obviously there's a house there where there's no trees. And that's been, some of that ground I believe has been expropriated, like the garden, to extend the gravel trap in there. And then again this bit here, the same. Pretty much until we go after this little kink here. We go through this, and then pretty much where the white fencing starts here, that's where, well actually about here is where we dive off on the new circuit into the Porsche curves, go around here. And actually a fun little bit of fact here is when you go into the infield campsites here, you will come through here the other way, go off about back where that bridge is, I think. But yeah, you go through this bit we did just the other way when we entered the circuit last year. And that was just wild. The public road dives off around here, goes around the back of the grandstands and all that. So we've now rejoined the circuit. And like the 1923 version of this would pretty much have been straightish on, maybe like a slight kink and then off a bit, which is wild to think about, and it would have gone off into town. And they did that for a few years, then they got annoyed that, you know, the city would be blocked off, so they built a little road. It's tiny, by the way, if you look it up, either in person or on the internet. It's called Rue du Circuit. It's tiny. It doesn't look like a thing that was built. It was built so like the race didn't go in there. So that was the first purpose bit piece of road. And then they would, whoa, hello, would take that hairpin at Pont-Lieu, get back out onto this road, and they would have been on that for a while. Tertre Rouge, the red hill. Cool too, because apparently it was like reddish dirt that was there back in the day. But I hope you're going to clear me soon, otherwise we're going to have to do another absolute. Okay, boss move. See, it's fine. I think that's why they've now actually paved those bits out there, because drivers like me are like in the real race, and they just don't care. Oh, look at that. We now got the ponies coming in here. This is definitely a 5-litre car. It's just got more ponies on this end. Although we need to be careful here because we're running a wee bit hot. Don't brake there, motherfucker! Fucking hell! Fucking hell! Woohoo! I do dream of doing like a proper 24-hour race in these cars on this track. I think that would be so much fun. Although I have zero idea how the brakes would do. I'm guessing not brilliantly. But you know, that's part of the vibe. Can we even let's just check here and see if I don't know if there's any way to actually like change brakes. But I mean, we have drum brakes, so it's not like we can change discs and pads. That's not great. Not gonna lie, I'm not happy about what happened there. But you know, we made it work. Come on, you little car. You know I'm gonna outrun you in the straight. Oh dear God, this is like an LMP2 versus GT3 in like the wet. Superior mechanical grip, ABS. I'm not lifting. Ah, you ain't lifting, brother. Alright, you fell behind, good. We lift there. I'm not a fan of like that oil temp. That's a bit high. And I'm running max radiator. That was rubbish. But yeah, I believe like the actual 54 race started very cloudy and then like the heavens opened. And it was like very similar to this year's race in that it rained heavily or showers in the evening. Then I think we also had some rain overnight, which, as you can probably imagine, caused carnage in these cars. I am fighting for position with the car behind because I'm not seeing any blue flags here. Unless I've somehow disabled those. Oh no, we've seen them for other cars, so they would be there. He's got 99 problems, but a bitch ain't one. We are getting very hot here. If oopsie daisy. I don't know if that is enough bodywork damage on the front to actually give me some radiator damage, but maybe it is. Or just some radiator loss of efficiency. Come on! I need to shake him. Like the car behind is lighter than us and probably like a 1.1 litre class or 1.3 litre class, so it's going to be lighter than us by a long shot, which makes it fast. I like the acceleration, but we just have the power. So there can't be much left in this race, surely. 10 minutes. No, it's alright. Yeah, there we go. 10 minutes. That'll be 3 laps, maybe. But yeah, this is such a nice car to be driving. Really enjoyable. I think I already said it, but it's a car that is definitely an Autobahn cruiser, this. Like, it accepts that there are corners, and that's about it. That's all I can say about the way that it corners. It goes, yep, that is a corner. I'm aware that it exists. And... fuck that one! She ain't good. I have no idea what happened there. This is undoubtedly going to impact our final result here. Yeah, it would be quite hot, wouldn't it? Just so you know, my steering wheel is pointing like 20 degrees to the right to go in a straight line, and it's got a lot of force feedback in it. It is not happy. It's fitting though that it came at that corner, which is where, as I said, my HRC run ended as well. Only that crash was a lot more explainable. That was me braking for a corner after the village of Mulsanne. The problem here as well is our oil temperature is going to be going through the roof. But we should be close to starting our final lap now though. I think the critical engine temperature is 108. That is a problem. And yes, you're going to pit it to repair it, but ultimately we've just been sitting still for a long while, and where's the fun in that? Okay, if we blow, we blow. How are we doing here in terms of tyre temp? Yeah, we're maxing it out, aren't we? Also, I've never seen that much tyre wear. And these are brake temperature's good, even if we are cooking the oil. You may wonder why am I shifting up to fourth when we're just going to drop down. That dropping down also takes like a degree off our oil temp, so I'm happy with that. Hang on, have I just found a hack here? Yes, this is crucial. I didn't think of this before. We're Shane Van Gisbergen here. When we're not trying to cool tyres, we're trying to reduce rolling resistance. Problem here is I can't kind of see. Oh, we got a Goldini. What we're going to do when we get round to the finish line, as I'm not 100% sure we will actually see the checkered flag, is stop if we don't. So this is not really worth driving around for another lap, is it? If we're being honest here. So really I've got to hope that we don't get caught here at Maison Blanche. Time is up. We need to move out of here now. Yep, we're good. Oh, they're showing us the checkered. Oh, yes. Right. Oh no, I don't think we got the checker. They were waving the checker, but I'm not sure we've taken it. No, we haven't. That was the leader. At least we know the score now. You should also know me enough to know that I'm stubborn. See, it's much cooler. We will get through the race, damn it. Even if we are last and there's no point, we will still finish. I should have predicted that, shouldn't I? It's fine. I'm pretty sure everybody who's passing me right now is on the cooldown lap. Although I don't know that for sure, because I've been checking in the mirrors, but I've not seen them like wave. Oh yes they are, yes they are. I just saw them back there wave the red flag. Yeah, they're waving the slippery surface flag, aren't they? Come on. Not far to go. Just down past Maison Blanche. Also like back in period. there was a limit on when they could take on fuel. Just to again emphasise the reliability and endurance aspect of it, you weren't allowed to refuel. I think it was for, was it 25 laps or 30 laps? Imagine that today. It's fine. Imagine that today, not being able to refuel at Le Mans for 30 laps or 25 laps. 25 laps is 2 stints for the hypercars, maybe more. Yeah, they're doing like 12 lap stints, I think, most of them, 11 to 12, so yeah, it's 2 plus. Let's not do a Mike Cawthorn, let's actually keep to the proper side here. How about, was that front tyre? It's fine. Oh, so we ended up not too far down actually, because it happened so late that the people couldn't take their lappers back. But anyway, hope you've enjoyed. Goodbye for now.